The NFL stands for not for long.
Set, Sharga and Armstead. Roll out, Walker still running out. Looks to the left, wide open, Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards.
What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up.
Lofting corner, the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Colin Thompson Show, coming to you live, Vero Beach, Florida, Fort Pierce to be exact. For those watching on YouTube, and all of our shows are available on YouTube, you can hear the water maybe crashing behind me, on the stones, on the rocks. Beautiful day here down in Florida. For those that are at home, you can just listen and maybe hear it through my expensive microphone that Jack made me got. I missed the grittiness, Jack, but it is good. It does sound better. I appreciate everybody tuning into the Colin Thompson Show. I'm Colin Thompson. That's Jack Connell. Everything we do here at Not For Long Media is brought to you by our friends over at the Original Fudge Kitchen. They ship fudge. They ship sweet treats across the country. Every flavor you can imagine. You also go in, they have ice cream, coffee, chocolates, saltwater taffies, chocolate-covered strawberries, you name it, they have it. Big time of year. Easter is actually, believe it or not, Jack, Jersey Shore, everybody thinks summertime. Easter is the number one time of year to buy your fudge and chocolates at the Original Fudge Kitchen. They'll ship it to you across the country, too. So you don't have to get to the Jersey Shore to buy your fudge, buy your sweet treats, buy your saltwater taffy, fudgekitchens.com. They will take care of you. Jack Connell, you are not in Florida. Where are you, my friend?
In lovely, rainy, miserable Horsham, Pennsylvania.
Horsham, Montgomery, Kent.
My front yard was a river yesterday. Like it
Was
did not. Yeah, it was. I mean, it happens sometimes heavy, but like it was like you could take a dive in there and submerge. Not actually, but like it was pretty heavy rains this past week.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that, Jack. Did you have to do any random gardening outside or complaining about any sort of, expensive lawn care tools that you have to pay for?
No, nothing yet. It's still winter. The grass is yet to start to grow. Once we start to see 60-degree weather and some grass growth, then you'll get some complaints out of me from the outdoors world.
Has the NBA provided any entertainment since the last time we talked? Ben Simmons out for the year.
Not really. Yeah, I was going to say Karl Anthony Towns tore his meniscus, which is absolutely brutal for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were the 1 seed, best since Kevin Garnett was there like 20 years ago at this point, which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
But they were 43-19, I think. Torn meniscus. I mean, Embiid's got a torn meniscus right now, and he might not even be back for the playoffs. So that happened over a month ago. So, I mean, Cat could be – there's different levels to a torn meniscus, as I'm sure you know. What seems to have happened, because he didn't get like a knee injury. It's not like he left the game. He got in a game and didn't realize it happened. Then his knee swelled up overnight or 2 days later. Because there's talk about he might even continue playing, but I don't think that's the best idea for his future at all. So, and that's the only interesting thing really come out of the NBA in the last couple weeks.
We've had interesting times in the NHL. Flyers dealt Walker, the defenseman, skilled player, kind of a bunch of injuries in his career. I think he was a high draft pick. I know he was a high big-time prospect with the Kings. He came over to the Flyers on a 1-year kind of prove-it deal. He proved it all right. He was going to get paid too. Flyers dealt him for a first-round pick. A couple other pieces were involved. Flyers dealt a 5th-round pick last night while we were sleeping for just some money being held over in a deal. The issue with the NHL this year, and while there won't be as many trades, you're going to see some, but everybody thinks it's going to be a ton now, and really the NBA has changed that. A lot of player movement is there's not a lot of salary cap left. The cap has not gone up. Like other sports, the cap goes up, and you can set deals in the distance, and maybe a guy gets paid a lot at one point in time and it's a little bit of an overpay, but in the end it ends up being the same amount of money or a little bit less money because the cap went up. NHL cap has not gone up. It will continue to go up. The NFL cap has gone up. There's been a bunch of NFL deals that we're going to touch on today. The first one that pops into my mind, when you see Russell Wilson visiting with the Steelers, I think it's a great move for all parties. Russell Wilson is a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback, right? He was so good with Seattle. He's trying to play his way into the Hall of Fame. He's trying to win another Super Bowl. He should have had 2 Super Bowls. We all know about the infamous Marshawn Lynch situation where they didn't hand the ball off on the goal line and Butler picked it off, the rookie for the Patriots. So for me, I love that move for Russ. It's going to be a tough move when it comes to Mike Tomlin is awesome to play for. He's demanding, but he always wins. So if Russ takes care of the football that team runs the ball with multiple running backs they have. I love their tight ends. I love their skill positions. Their O-line has been getting better every single year. And then defensively, they are what they are. The majority of their salary cap is on that side of the football. Tons of high-paid individuals that perform at a high level consistently. Veteran, young players, and Porter out on the outside. So I love that Steelers team kind of in that really tough division, which probably hurts them more. But I love the team. I love them even more with Russ on them. And I don't think the kind of books closed on Pickett either. Right? Like, I get it. We're going to jump it. He's over. It's done. That's our world. We don't believe in developing. We want to see it right now. But, some players, it takes a couple years to get going. So I think Russ could be a good maybe stopgap to give Pickett maybe another year per se, or maybe Russ steps in and takes a hold of the team and they go on a run with a veteran quarterback that has really focused on revitalizing his career, taking a really cheap team-friendly deal so they can win. And I like the move if he goes to the Steelers. I really do.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's in a really unique position this year that I don't think we've ever seen, ever, just because of his contract hit that he got from the largest dead cap hit, $80-some million. He's got $40 million guaranteed this year from Denver on its own, and he wants to just go on a min contract or a close to a minimum contract and win, like you sort of mentioned. And that opens the door because it makes sense for him. He probably wants to extend his starting career, and the best opportunity for him to do that is go to an opportunity that's best for him for cheap, show that he's still got it, and either stay there for money, like a Geno Smith type situation, or go elsewhere and get what he deserves. And he had a really solid year in Denver this past year. I think like 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Granted, stats don't always tell the tale, but if you look compared to the year that claimed him to be the worst trade in NFL history and this past year, it was night and day. He looked serviceable. He looked like he could get you in the games, in situations. He looked like a 15, 20th range top quarterback in the NFL. And I think he'd be great in Pittsburgh. I think he'd be great in a couple other places. If Minnesota loses Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, which I don't think they will, but if that happens, I think he could be a nice stopgap in Minnesota if they need to get in a younger quarterback. They're not going to be in that top 3 because it's going to be really tough to get in that top 3. But if you could get a JJ McCarthy or a Bo Nix or one of these guys you can develop and sit behind Russ for a year or two, or if Russ does good enough that you just keep him as the guy, I think he could be great there.
The J.J. McCarthy situation is very interesting, right? He's that guy that's not in the top 3, but is he a first-round pick conversation at one point in time? Is he a mid-round pick? He's won a ton in Michigan. And then all of a sudden, like, there's been a real big push for, like, everyone to trade up and take him in that 9th, 10th spot. So we'll see. There's a lot of teams that are strapped for cash. The Vikings, strapped for cash. Like, they got to pay JJ. They're going to pay Daniil Hunter. Darrisaw, the left tackle, is going to be up for another contract extension here in a little bit. O'Neal, right tackle. Brian, who's been on the show, is a really good player. They pay him a bunch. They pay a lot of people a lot of money in key positions, yes. But are they going to be able to afford to bring back Kirk Cousins? A great conversation. I think it's just a math game for them. And Kurt's been a guy who takes the money, right? I have no problem with that at all. Kurt's the guy that wants to get paid the most money, and I don't blame him because he's consistent and really good. My question for Kirk would be, and I would ask him that in person, if I saw him again, I got to know him pretty well during training camp. One of the nicest human beings I've ever played with is, why don't you take a minimum deal and go win a Super Bowl? Go to a team that needs a quarterback that's Super Bowl ready. And Minnesota, let's be honest, like, they're a team that started off slow last year. If they didn't have that slow start, they're shooing to the playoffs, and they're having probably a nice deep playoff run. Like, they had that really good run, and they lost to the Giants the year before. And I was super impressed by the team, the depth they had at wideout. The O-line, everyone used to knock on, had a great season this year. We called that on this show. Defense was awesome under Brian Flores early on, trying to make it work, that cover zero pressure situation. So I think the trick for me is like, hey, Kirk, we know you're worth a ton of money, but like, how about take a little bit of money and go win a Super Bowl and make a run, and we can go add more pieces. So maybe Kirk takes a team-friendly deal to keep his family in Minnesota. He's a team-friendly guy. I know there's push. He's a family man, excuse me. And I know he wants to stay put, and he's got a growing family and all those great things. He's coming off an injury. I'm sure he's rehabbed with the Vikings. There's some love and mutual respect there. And then people say, oh, he's going to go back to Atlanta. His wife's from Atlanta. That's a great point too. But is Atlanta ready to win right now too? Like, yeah, their defense is pretty good. Their offense, they have great skilled players too. So a lot of interesting storylines there with the free agents around the league. I love the Mitch Trubisky move. I know it's backup quarterback talk and whatever. I played with Mitch in Chicago. Early on in his career in Chicago, had a lot of success that middle part of his tenure, I should say, there with Matt Nagy's second year. And then they kind of went by the wayside. They changed some offense. They met some injuries. And then Mitch kind of moved on and didn't have the career after the Pro Bowl season that he had, and went to Buffalo, backing up Josh Allen. I'm sure he learned a ton. Then went to Pittsburgh, made some nice plays for Buffalo. Went to Pittsburgh, signed a nice little deal. They drafted Kenny Pickett. Kind of an awkward situation there, never really stuck and had the time. But I think when it comes to Mitch, it's a great spot for him. Like Joe Brady and him already have a relationship. I believe Joe was there with him, maybe Joe's first year, and Joe's now the OC. So you have Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky if something goes wrong. They're a similar player, actually, similar athlete. Obviously, Mitch is a lot smaller than Josh. Josh is an absolute monster. So a lot of interesting stuff there with movement in the NFL. You see a ton of safeties coming to the market now. Like, how's that going to work? Like, is the safety getting devalued almost like a running back? Like, yeah, everybody wants a good safety, but they're really expensive, Jack, and there's a lot of really high pay ones that are on the market now.
Yeah, the safety and running back slots in free agency, it's a shame for the players because by default, you should think, oh, this is a really weak running back class, and there's a lot of great running backs to the free agency market. This is a great opportunity for the free agency running back market to really be revived, like their contract value to be where they feel like they should be. But it's sort of addition by subtraction. You get all of these guys in free agency market, teams are going to use that as leverage. These guys are probably not going to get what they expect because teams will go up to Josh Jacobs and say, yeah, you're great, but we can get Saquon Barkley for 75% of your contract. And that's just a negotiation tactic. And
Feel bad for him, man. Like, imagine being Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, one of the best players in the NFL. And you're just not going to get paid the bag. Like, you're just not. You're going to make like a couple million a year and you'll be done in 3-4 years. Like, that's not that they're not good players, but like, think about that. Like, any other position, you're like Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce, big time players in big time positions. You're like, man, these guys are going to have a hell of a career. Like, even a veteran wideout, like think about like Miles Austin. Like, he kept playing like deep into his career and he was like a kind of a no-name guy at a mom at the start. I don't know why Miles popped in my head. I'm just thinking about journeymen that continue to play and they can continue to show up and continue to show face. Like, I'm Jamison Crowder, right? Like, he's still playing. Adam Thielen will play for another 5 years if he wants to, right? Because they're super solid. They're hard to replace. They're veteran presence and they're really good football players. But can you say that about a running back? Like, Darren Sproles may be the last one ever to continue to bounce around and play in this league. Austin Eckler is going to have a nice career because Austin's in his 30s. He's just maybe turned 30. And for him, like, he can go to he wants to get paid. He got paid a little bit, not a big bag, but he'll probably play till he's like 35. So like the pass catcher guy, when you get labeled as that, they'll keep you around longer. But if you're a guy who needs bulk carries like Jacobs and Saquon, they just go a different direction. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah. And you look at the safety market too, like Justin Simmons just got released. Justin Simmons, one of the best safeties in the last 5 years. He's probably going to get messed up by the free agency market because teams will say, well, Xavier McKinney's 85, 90% of the player you are, and he's also 5 years younger. Like, why would you're 30 years old? So, I mean, it's in a loaded free agency safety class. There's several. Eddie Jackson, I know, is one out there. There's several others. I'm not forgetting on the top of my head. Poyer, Micah Hyde, like
Jeremy
there are
Chin.
Jeremy
I
Chin.
think the one player to keep your eye on here when this whole process is Jeremy Chin. I get it. Carolina fans are like, wow, he didn't. What was he? Second round pick, small school guy. First off, the guy works his ass off. The guy's extremely humble and kind and a great football player. He's huge. He's like a Keanu Neal type of guy, big, long, rangy, can hit the shit out of you. So like whoever gets Jeremy, and he's not going to be one of the higher paid safeties, right? Because there's so many big names coming, but he could be a guy on like a 1 year prove it deal. Like a lot of these guys signed after COVID and the cap kind of halted, where Jeremy comes in and ends up balling out. Like that guy is just right on the cusp of being a really, really, really good football player. He always is a good football player. Don't get me wrong, but like a paid safety in this league who's really notable. So I'm interested to see. It's a guy to keep your eye on. Chin. He's a really good player. Guys, the annual patio furniture warehouse sale at Mountain Lake Pool and Patio in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, March 16th and 17th. That's right. The warehouse sale, March 16th and 17th. Doors open at 9 a.m. Just visit mountainlakepool.com, www.mountainlakepool.com. Everything you need for your pool and patio this upcoming season. They'll help you get your pool ready, your hardscaping done all around your pool this coming season. Check them out, mountainlakepool.com. Tell the White family that those at Not For Long Media and the Colin Thompson family sent you. They're amazing people. My football coaches growing up, really, really special folks, and a really cool, special family business that's been in business, I think, I know it's been 30, 40, maybe 50 years, longer than my mom's business in the Doylestown area. Check them out, Mountain Lake Pool Patio. Jack, any thoughts on Caitlin Clark and her breaking the record?
She's insane. I mean, it's everything she has done for women's basketball as a whole is absolutely massive. The attention everywhere is through the roof. I remember seeing something. I mean, obviously all the TV records, personal records. She's just an outstanding player within herself. I would think she'd be a lottery pick if she was in the NBA. But I mean, you look. I think the one stat that stood out to me. I mean, it's really not that, but it was sports. This is the 1% I remember from her impact. I think women's basketball betting is up 400% or 300%, something insane this year, and it's mainly because of Caitlin Clark. I mean, I think of it from a casual bettor's perspective. Like, there's looking through lines like Caitlin Clark over 25.5 points. Like, that's a lock. Like, she's averaging 30 points, 33 points, whatever this season. It's just the fact that casual fans are starting to care about a Iowa women's basketball game and understanding and appreciating women's basketball and growing the sport in general and putting more money into it by watching it more, betting on it more. It's tremendous. I can't speak enough how much she's done for women's basketball this year.
It's been so fun to watch. We've watched a ton this year. I find myself watching a lot of softball, women's basketball. I have friends that coach all around the different leagues, so it's been fun to watch them, support them. Girls that I've known that played in those leagues too. The one thing I will say, my one complaint, Jack, and I'll be honest, I don't know if this was her wishes or the team's wishes or the university's wishes or the TV people's wishes, but she broke the record on that foul shot. There was 0.3 seconds left or whatever it was, 0.8 seconds left. If any record's broken in any other league, the whistles blow, the ball gets sent over to the corner, she gets a standing ovation, the place goes crazy for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we get back to basketball. Why was that not there? That was my one takeaway. I'm like, this is an incredible record. Things that are never broken, especially for one school with NIL and transfer portal and like how history is kind of changing and evolving because now there's more games or less games or there's different things going on. There's an asterisk next to everything. Like, she just broke a ridiculous record that was held forever by Pete Maravich. And we're not going to blow the whistle, give her a standing ovation, and really celebrate like on senior night with a packed house at Iowa, like the dream scenario for the situation. We didn't celebrate it at all. And I'm sure they had end of the game and all that stuff, her jersey and all that stuff. But like, I think she deserves a couple of ovations. And right when she made the foul shot, one of those ovations should have happened. So that was my one thing that I took away. I was like, hey, man, what's going on? Another thing I want to touch on back to the football world. We're going to hit Jason Kelce. I'm going to hit a little thing on Mike Evans. Then I'll open the floor to Jack. Jason Kelce, man, I was emotional, Jack. I'll be honest with you. I'm down in Houston at the time working out, and I was working at Rice University, and there's a team over there and their staff over there let me train there through a friend. Shout out to Miles Adams, buddy of mine with Seattle, who was from Rice and got me in to train there. My in-laws stay a mile from there, so I was able to run over every day, run back, get a lift in. It was so nice as I'm starting kind of my heavier parts of my training now. But I was upset in a good way, not disappointed or upset. I wish I'd say I was emotional. I'm an emotional guy. I cry. I teared up a little bit. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tear up. Like, this is one of the most legendary individuals in the football space I've ever come across. People are saying now he's one of the most famous, if not the most famous offensive lineman of all time. The passion, the juice, the energy, the toughness, the stories that you're hearing from behind closed doors about this guy and how tough he is and how he holds people accountable and how what a true leader looks like. And then he holds himself accountable and the hard work he puts in. And that speech about all the things that really matter, the locker room, the family, the journey, the stories, the late nights going out and having fun with the boys when maybe you have practice the next day. Like, that's the only things that's the things you miss. Like, there's a couple of moments he shared about stuff on the field, if you remember that, Philly special, all these different things, but the snow game, but like, none of it's about the playing. It's all about the camaraderie and those things that come with it. And that's the things I'll miss the most. I'm going to give this league one more shot. I'm going to put all my marbles in for one more year. But, to know that I'm probably closer to finishing my career, if not, it's already over, to where it's starting for these young guys in the league. Like, take advantage of this opportunity you have. Everybody says that, but like, really dive in, really get to know people, really engage with fans, really do it all. And Jason Kelce did it all in Philly, and he knocked it out the park. I've said it in my clips before. He's the greatest Philly sports athlete of all time. Let's remember, all the things off the field are absolutely incredible and one of a kind, but on the field, to play the way he did, to play offensive line in this league for 13 seasons and to achieve what he did individually and as a team, bringing the first Super Bowl to Philly, he may be the greatest Philly sports athlete of all time because he did win that Super Bowl and he had all that individual success. So best of luck to him and his journey. I'm sure we'll see him down the Jersey Shore. It was really fun. I'm bummed because I was planning to train with him again this summer down in Hanley Strength, the little gym that we train at through Jimmy Morrissey. I got Jimmy and Kelce to come with me. I missed Jason a couple of times. Brian O'Neill was there with us, and I got to meet him out in the NFL broadcast boot camp, and he couldn't be more of just a normal human being that's super, high achieving, and all the things that you see and hear about him is so true. So Jason Kelce's impact, Jack, is I don't think we'll ever see again. We've never seen it really before him. He's one of a kind, and he'll be missed. This game will miss him. The players will miss him. The team will miss him leadership wise, but I'm sure he's going to be able to really go with a blank check to any media business he wants to go to and call his shots and do whatever he wants to do the rest of his life. Good for him. He deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, he's an absolute legend. The one thing I've saw, and it's been an interesting debate. A lot of the national media people have started bringing up, is he like the greatest Philadelphia athlete of all time, or the most popular,
Of
most
course.
beloved?
Of course.
I think that the biggest thing, I would need to see this like removed 10 years from now and take it from there, because it's such a short span of like, I think he's really been beloved. It's really been from the Mummers Parade to now. He's absolute legend. I think he is the most beloved Eagle of all time. I would put him at the worst third most beloved Philly athlete of all time.
Yeah,
And
mixed list had AI there right at 1.
Yeah,
Jason 2, Bryce 3.
Yeah, I would put Chase Utley and Allen Iverson as the top 2. I think
No
Jason
way.
Kelce is, well, again, I
Chase?
think Kelce in this moment, Jason Kelce is number 1. But I'm talking like at this moment, he's number 1. I'm talking all time when you look back.
Yeah.
I just need to see what it looks like 10 years from now to definitively say he is absolutely the greatest of all time.
I get it. In our whole world, he's the greatest. But I will say this. We need to appreciate, and we are appreciating what we have as Philly fans, but more importantly, just people that are fans of sports when you have it. Bryce Harper, to me, is the second most relatable, high achieving, engaging. Actually, I would put AI over him. I would go Bryce 3, AI 2, Kelce 1. And Kelce won a Super Bowl. Let's not forget that. Kelce had maybe one of the better retirement speeches of all time. He had maybe the best Super Bowl speech of all time. He had massive public blocks that were crazy from the center position because they pull the center in the Eagles offense. That's another thing he's very fortunate for. People got to see him more publicly, which is really unique and fun, where other offenses in that wide zone scheme, outside zone scheme, you're not going to see all that stuff. So there's a little bit of maybe luck with that, but not luck. He's a great player, so that allows him to be more public, and he's so well with the media and so embracing, so that allows him to thrive behind the mic and create a podcast with his bro, because two of them they're both Hall of Famers. I will say this, though. I give over-under for Travis Kelce 1.5 years here. I would take the under. He's going to play this last year. Who knows? They may three-peat, and then he may walk off. Like, you showed how much his brother's impact on him. As a man, as a leader, and I know his brother now, Travis is a grown man and his own man, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, the guy's an absolute monster too. Like, what else does he have to achieve? And playing tight end, like some high volume, big hits. So anything else on Jason Kelce, Jack, before we move forward?
Nothing with Jason. I would agree with Travis. I think the one immediately after that speech, it seemed very important. They want that elusive three-peat, something that's never been done. Like, they just want that for themselves. I mean, because you look at it like he's 35 right now. He's not going to be able to chase Brady and Gronk and that like whole dynasty. Like, they need the three-peat will be their own claim to fame. Mahomes has his whole career ahead of him, obviously. But yeah, I see the 1 year, and I just think there's going to be too much money and opportunity on the table, combined with why Jason retired. He was just getting beat up. Like, he can leave on top with his body in pristine shape and walk away on his own terms. And have,
I don't know about pristine shape, but yeah, I hear you. I'm hurting sitting down. I played 1% of the career those guys had.
But like no insanely intense injuries that will
Alex
severely
Smith.
affect. Yeah.
I know he's had some serious stuff with. I've listened to some of their shows. They're just not a part of my rotation. Plus, with travel and all, it's actually been harder than I thought. But when I'm going to get back into them, I know he's talked about forgetting things and mental health stuff, and that's something I have not get into, and I won't get into while I'm currently playing. But it's real, man. It's real. It affects a lot of players, and I've talked to a lot of players about it, and it's good that it's tough to not being in the locker room anymore and be able to talk about those things. It's tough. That's the one gift of that locker room, man. No matter what your race is, no matter where you're from. Jason talked about that. Like, at the end of the day, you're showering up after practice together, and you're in the hot tub together, and you're completely exposed as human beings. There's no guards up anymore. Everybody knows to their core that they're good humans. Like, you're already to like level 5 of a relationship just because you're in the same building together. So I feel horrendous for him and any retired player that there's no locker room anymore, and it's really hard to replicate that. That's why a lot of them go back into coaching, because it's just really hard to do. Mike Evans, got to touch on Mike Evans. Listen, I think this guy's one of the most underrated players in NFL history, period. 1,000 yards receiving every single season he's been in the league or more. That's ridiculous. Multiple quarterbacks, Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, Baker Mayfield. I'm sure he's had another couple mixed in there too. But he's in Tampa. Everyone kind of sleeps on a little bit. He's not with one of the true blue bloods, but Tampa's been great the last kind of decade since TB12 got there, and now Baker's there. We'll see what Baker does. But I just want to give Mike his flowers. Like, this is a guy who was a basketball player from Galveston, Texas. He went to Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was all the talk. But people that I was talking to in the football world's like, yo, that's the dude right there. That's the dude right there. He's an absolute stud and a really, 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 really good player. He beat us a ton in Carolina. He's going to continue to win. I like the deal for them. I'm sure it's somewhat team friendly, and they paid him a bunch of money, no state income tax, to stay down in Tampa, have some fun, and ball out with maybe Baker Mayfield as his quarterback. We shall see. Bar of the week this week on the Colin Thompson Show, presented by Fudge Kitchen, fudgekitchens.com. Armadillo Palace, Houston, Texas. A really cool place that we were able to go celebrate Shelby and Steven, my in-law, my sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law this past weekend. Congrats to them. So happy for you guys. Armadillo Palace, what a great place to host an event. Fantastic drinks, food. People were given speeches, indoor, outdoor concert venue, restaurant in the front, like extremely blown away with Armadillo Palace. Their service was great, 5 out of 5. Cold beers were 5 out of 5. No TVs. I get it, 3 out of 5. And just the food and ambiance. Like, it was a kind of a cowboy cocktail party. So I had the cowboy boots on, had the cowboy hat on, that type of vibe, and was really cool, and just a great way to celebrate them at a great forum. Check it out when you guys are in Houston. Armadillo Palace, the bar of the week this week on the Colin Thompson Show. 18 out of 20, a great little bar to check out when you're in Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas, to me, is, my opinion, one of the best food cities in the world, because you can get everything. Check that out. Whenever you're down there, hit me up. Lots going on though, Jack. Food, drinks, football. We got another week. We'll be in spring training. If you guys, anybody down in spring training next week, check us out. We'll be down there Sunday, down in Clearwater, Tampa area, St. Pete, really the west coast of Florida. I'll be there for the next week, and then home. I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I'll be good back. Good to get home. 2 weeks. Been gone for 2 months. Next week I'll be doing the show from Tampa. So exciting stuff. I appreciate everybody tuning in the show. Anything else before we go, Jack?
No, I think we've covered everything. Monday will be the free agency bonanza. Well, I don't know if it will be for us, but I will be certainly intrigued to see what happens. I think it's noon is when everything, like the tampering period, starts. So,
okay. Well, it's always drama with the NFL. They always find a way to make it work. I think that's it for me, Jack. Lots to look forward to, man. This is that time of year where we're waiting. And it's been a good time. Another wedding this weekend, celebrating our great friends of ours, Chloe's and Nick. So lots of fun here. Appreciate everybody tuning into the Colin Thompson Show. Check out our friends at Mountain Lake. Thanks to our friends of the original Fudge Kitchen. Stay tuned for more with Food, Drinks, Football, our new show that our team is doing awesome on. Thanks to our team at Not For Long Media. Thank you, Jack. Everyone have a great rest of your week.